You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Chris, before I answer your question about Dylan Thieneman at safety, I just want to put a point on the offensive production that we were talking about earlier. Oregon does not have a 3,000-yard quarterback. They do not have an 800-yard rusher, or did not in the regular season, I should say, nor did they have anywhere close to a 1,000-yard receiver. Now, I didn't expect that to be the case going into the year, or I did expect that, I should say, because there's just a lot of talent all over the place. And the way they spread the ball around has been really good. And I think there have been times where guys like De'Corian Moore, when healthy, or Kenyon Sadiq at tight end haven't been utilized to their fullest extent. But overall, that's just been my biggest takeaway from watching the Oregon offense this year, is they can do kind of whatever they feel like, do it wherever they feel like they're gonna have the matchups. And I just think that Texas Tech defense is going to have to be ready for that.
Yeah, at some point at this stage, with all these teams being so good, you have to be a chameleon. Yeah, you can't win the same way every time. Sometimes special teams, it's sometimes we got to be able to run it. Sometimes we got to throw it. Sometimes whatever. But pretty fascinating. Take me through the defense now, and I want to get to I also want us to cover at some point, like these. You know, how many refresh my memory here? How many times did Oregon lose this year?
Just once.
And I will tell you that Texas Tech lost just once, right? So I want to get to what happened in those games. Like, why did they lose? How did they lose?
Yeah.
You know, all that stuff. I think that's important to note because that Indiana game was just like a sneaky good game that just like, it was, 7 weeks ago, whatever. And you just kind of, Texas Tech was that way too, but I wanted to get to those because they've been rolling since, both programs. Take me through the defense.
Yeah, so you mentioned Dylan Thieneman earlier. He got my award this season for transfer of the year for the Ducks, edging out Emmanuel Prenon at offensive guard, who is an All-Big Ten and All-American this season and has been Oregon's best offensive lineman. And their center, Iapani Lalulu, or Poncho as he's known, is a third-team AP All-American this year and a finalist for the Remington Award. So I think that what Thieneman has brought to the table and why I landed on him specifically, number one, he's by and far the best safety talent that Oregon has had since Dan Lanning arrived. For whatever reason, this, that, or the other one, maybe it was, I think back to Oregon fans, some will remember this name, some won't, the Peyton Bowen recruitment. He wound up at Oklahoma, has played for the last couple of years, starting on the back end of that Sooners defense. He was going to Oregon. The papers were signed, but then the papers didn't get signed. It was a weird, it was wild and crazy. And I wonder if they didn't really think he was going to be the guy at safety, and they've just had average to below average guys in each of the first 3 years. That has changed dramatically this year. Now, Aaron Flowers, a guy they recruited and developed playing as a redshirt freshman, has been a huge part of that as well. He's been great, so is Kingston Lopa. But Dylan Thieneman is literally a scheme-changing player because Oregon has rolled out the exact same defensive scheme that Jim Knowles first showed last year with Caleb Downs at Ohio State. And Thieneman has been so good. He's the only guy I think they feel like they could do that with, because you just have to have a really instinctual, explosive, 3-level football player. And Dylan Thieneman is that sort of guy. And so they put him in this kind of rover spot in between the safeties, or the two deep defensive backs, because one's a nickel, but the two safeties and the linebackers. He kind of plays in between, and it creates a challenging look for a defense in both the pass game, because you don't really know where he's going or what his coverage assignment is, and in the run game as well, because how's an offensive lineman going to climb up to him when he's beyond the linebackers, but then he gets downhill? So,
because wasn't the knock that they were like last year just giving up too many explosives, and he was kind of thought to come in here and Like, okay, we're fixing that.
Yeah, I mean, overall, the defense was good last year. The safeties were just not very good, particularly in coverage. They weren't super rangy. They were solid tacklers, but they weren't super rangy or great in pass coverage. And Ohio State took advantage of that. And Thieneman, I think, has neutralized it. And Oregon's defense has gotten even better this year. I think PFF had him as their highest graded safety, actually, in all of college football, even higher than Caleb Downs. So I think what he has brought to the table this year to just roll out an entirely new defensive package because of his skill set, I think he's been the best transfer that Oregon's brought in. And then the defense as a whole, the defensive line is, these are two great, not good. And I want you to talk about Texas Tech for the Oregon fans out there that are learning about the Red Raiders for the first time. This is a great Oregon defensive line. Mateo Uyunglele is going to be an NFL draft pick. So will Amari Washington. Bear Alexander's having the best season of his career. Tatum Tuiotti's probably been Oregon's best defensive lineman this year. He leads them in TFLs and in sacks. They are deep. They are talented. They've been very productive and very good against both the run and pass this year. And then you flip on the other side, Chris, and that Texas Tech defensive line is filthy good. That's why I love them coming into this season in the Big 12.
First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. And football is in full force, and FanDuel's keeping you stocked with action every game day with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet only $5, and if your bet hits, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Any way you like it, FanDuel has you covered. Quick, easy, and secure every time. If you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
Yeah, the front seven for this team has really just been the heartbeat. Yeah, I mean, I think Jacob Rodriguez, the middle linebacker, or actually strong side linebacker, he's won about every award that there was. He's won the Lombardi, the Butkus, a bunch of ones that I've never even heed of before. He
got Heisman votes, right?
He got Heisman votes. He was actually finished fifth in the Heisman voting. He forced more turnovers as an individual than I think 6 different Big 12 teams this season.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, like 4-7 fumble. I mean, yeah. So had several interceptions, but it's. He would be the first to tell you that it's because he's got legit people in front of him. And I don't know what I was expecting coming into this year. First of all, like Texas Tech was in a much different situation than Oregon. Texas Tech's defense was not good last year. They were extremely average. They could not get any pressure on the opposing quarterback. They could not create any takeaways whatsoever. And yet they were still, because the offense was so good and the defense was opportunistic at times enough, that they were one win away from making it to Arlington to play in the Big 12 title game. I mean, they beat Iowa State and Arizona State during the regular season, and those are the 2 teams that played for the championship. But that's why it was getting that close. It's why we're talking about what we're talking about right now, and that they were like, defense has got to be fixed. We're not doing this anymore. So they decided to make changes. So Sheil Wood comes in from University of Houston, been a phenomenal coordinator, but it's the front. It's one of the best fronts, I think, in college football. Lee Hunter, several All-American accolades. David Bailey, same thing. He's going to be a top 10 pick in the draft. He's from Stanford. Yeah, it's funny because thank you to the folks at Stanford for making a coaching change back in March when you did.
Yeah, shout out Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck, sir, I salute you. Dear Mr. Luck. Because, I mean, this was I don't know what all this would have looked like, but, I mean, he was kind of a final piece because they thought the other edge that I'm about to talk to you about is Romello Height, who's going to be an NFL pick as well. He was going to be the guy that was going to be the pressure player and all these things, but – it's like when you bookend them, it's so they rush 4. They don't blitz hardly. When they blitz, it's they're really getting, because Sheil just doesn't. He hadn't had to.
Every defensive coordinator's dream is to get pressure with 4.
Bingo. So they play a lot.
I'm a Seahawks guy, and I've now seen two great defenses from my beloved NFL team over the years, because this one is just Mike McDonald's great, but it's very different from the Legion of Boom back in the day. They were very simple in their concept. They just executed their assignments really well, but they didn't blitz Bobby Wagner that much. They didn't blitz KJ. Those guys were able to cover as linebackers, and they brought Cam Chancellor down into the box in that patented cover 3 under Pete Carroll, and they would just rush 4 with guys like Michael Bennett and Chris Clemens and many others over the years. But then you look at what kind of the modern era of defense is. I almost feel like Texas Tech is a bit of a throwback, because the trendy way to play defense now, and everybody's favorite term, understandably, because it can be very tough to go against, is simulated pressures, where you blitz a linebacker or a DB. You make a defense think, oh, they're going to bring 5, and then it's like, wait, they blitzed 4, and one guy was a D. Who's dropping? Oregon does that all the time. And so when we get back, I want to dive more into that, because that was a big storyline for Oregon coming out of the Indiana game, and I'm fascinated to see how that matchup plays out in this one.